The combat pit bull, Gah Maldito Canis great champion Richard Ramirez. My owner and I didn't know, but this was just the beginning of all our trips together. We arrived at my owner's yard, and got a new spot, in a chain, among the other 78 dogs, which were there. A few months have passed, and I'm 9 months old, but I'm already acting like an adult dog, and attacking everything. My owner thought I was 1 year old, and brought a 14-month-old dog to face me. This dog was from BBZ Kennel'S. I hit him hard, on the chest, and attacked his knee. In 5 minutes of combat, I saw my opponent, looking for a way out. At 7 minutes of fighting, he was crying. They separated us, and my owner arrested me. I went crazy about the current for the next 5 months. They tested me again, and I broke this dog in the kidneys, with the time of 5 minutes. They put me back in the chain. This time it was for 2 months. I went to the ring, and it seemed as fast as we got there. This test was done in 7 minutes, and I bit hard and deep in my knees. My owner is wondering how good a fighter I am, since I'm destroying everything and everyone that they are playing in the ring against me. The next one must be difficult. My owner called T. Griego from BLT. And he said he has a good one. He usually chases us, but this time it was the other way around. We entered the ring. Both dogs are ready to start, and we were released. I attack, and the hit in the kidneys, I take him at 160 km per hour, against the wall. I repeat the attack, a few more times, the opponent is fatally damaged and with broken kidneys. They separated us, and his balls were the size of a tomato. He died a few hours later. My owner talked to another old man, the owner of the dog, and he said, "I think you need to take a look at his intestine." 3 days later, after demolishing Griego's animal, they let me fight and do what I did, again. I'm happy, strong and ready. You're connected, right? We hit him hard, but this guy here is exchanging with me, but it seems that I have more mouth. We are going back and forth, and he is starting to slow down. At 15 minutes, they separated us, and I heard someone say that the white dog, who was my opponent, was hurt in the chest. We went back to fight, with all our strength. I put him on the floor, and started working the bite on his chest. They separated us again, and admitted the defeat of the thin and mistreated dog. I'm in the corner, and looking for more fight, so comes another white dog, named Crazy. He beats me hard, and he takes the lead. For a time of 5 to 7 minutes, he knocked me down a few times. Crazy starts to explode, and I have my chance, so I jumped deep, and attacked his chest. I let the bite slip, and he fights again. So I hit his knee, and made him go to the corner, hit hard on the other knee, and Crazy now, he's a fallen dog. They tried to separate us, and I crushed Crazy. They separated us again, and Crazy was screaming in the corner, wanting more fight. Crazy comes and beats me, but I double him, and now it's another 20 minutes, of the 40 minutes of fight. And now I'm ready to participate in the world of dog fighting. That's how my career began in pitbull combat. No one wanted to face Richard, so calls were made. DSK to D said that there was a dog, who won a fight, in 2 hours and 9 minutes, and that he was a good fighter. So we thought, that's what we want. Everything was ready, and the day came. 4 of us traveled together, the GDK, the BLT and our good friend Gonzo. We traveled for 9 hours, until Boot and then to MS. Our nerves are high. We are as ready as the dog is now. We weigh, wash and get ready to go down to the ring. They wash first and then us. We enter our corner of the ring, and the release command is said. The dog nigger is coming with force, and we meet in the middle of the ring. He tries to change bites, and pays for it. I grabbed a front leg, and broke it at 5 minutes. At the 10-minute mark of combat, we are dominating the rhythm, and at 13 minutes, we are at the bottom of our chest. They ask for a pause, to the corner, to continue the fight, but my owner says, no. Take your dog, if you want to save, your dog. They said no, so I attacked again, at the 19-minute mark. They ask for another break, to continue. I said to them, but nigger fell into the corner, without strength and looking at us. Meanwhile, the referee made the count. And so goddamn Richard Kennel once became a combat winner. On the way home, I was so happy, that I called Jerry from DSK, and thanked him for this evil dog. I told him that we were already looking for the second dog. It was already March, and we had the fight scheduled for May. This was going to be a battle between the dog John Cuff and Richard, from the Fat Boys. They said that John Cuff will end up with Richard quickly. The night came, and we drove 3 hours, to meet Fat Boy. When we got there, we were informed that they replaced John Cuff with a dog, who was once a winner, and who killed a dog, in 19 minutes, a dog that the Black River had conditioned. We drove another 2 hours to the place. It would be 2 fights on the day. I wasn't aware of that, besides having more than 60 people there. We weigh, wash and hit the box. We went into our corner. Let go of your dogs. Both animals hit hard. They grab us by the foot, and break a toe of our foot, that in the first few minutes, but we get down, take his ankle and break it. We have only 4 minutes of fighting. And in the 7 minutes, I take his same leg, and it pops again, right below the knee. At the 11-minute mark, I take the shoulder of his arm, and bury myself deeply, trying to pull him out. My owner tells them, you should pick up your dog, but they said no. We are totally suffocating them. I'm pushing him on the floor, and as if he were a rag doll. At 14 minutes, they ask for a break to continue. The answer is no. SCK, the referee said, get them, man, that dog is dying. They ask me again, and this time, the answer was yes. At this point, the dog, once the winner, is being needed. They separated us, and the dog, once the winner, is just limping. When they release him, he simply faints and accepts the count. Richard is now a 2-win killer. When we were leaving, my owner stopped at Fat Boy, and called him to a fight, against John Cuff, but he said no. Tonight was also the night when I met T, from SCK. He told me on the way home that he had never seen a dog bite like that, and he was happy that they had never found a dog like that. We heard him say, and we were extremely happy with the result, and with the comments that T made. We went with T, to see SCK's dog Awesome Buck, become a great champion. That night, we made contact with Match N Scratch, calling him to a fight, with his dog, the Champion Bullet. I told them that I would go to them, but they refused. Now we're on the hunt. Our confidence is high. We are ready to face anyone, anywhere. We are on this mission. It's summer, we're making calls. Richard made 2 victories, and now, he is in the search for the title of champion. One of the first people I tried to get in touch with was Captain America. I told them I would travel to their backyard. It was provisionally scheduled, but they called and gave up. I also talked to D. Mayo and then with EC, who had the champion Ghost of Mung, in the West Coast region. He had already defeated BMW's Ickies, and already had more than 6 hours, inside a ring. He was the definition of a fighting dog, he was solid, and the best in the competition. EC and I talked a lot on the phone, you know how it is, talking to each other. One day he said, you know, I think we have the medicine, for that dog of yours, and I said, damn it. Everything I told him was, all we need is a bite. We set the date and the weight, 19 kilos for us and they with 20 kilos, and it would be us who would travel to them. Time has passed. With 2 weeks to go before the fight, Richard pawed his front paw, his left paw. We took him to a vet and did blood tests. I was told that he had an infection in his shoulder, and that his blood count was at 38. I started giving antibiotics, and he started to feel much better after a week of medication. Mad told me to pay the fine, but I was stubborn and didn't want to pay, because I would lose the chance to enter against the champion Ghost. With 4 days left, before the fight, it seems that Richard is feeling much better, so we got ready and left. We arrived at the combat site, 33 hours later, and at about 5,500 feet of altitude. Now I'm at the Irish kid's house, a host gentleman and an incredible referee. The night of the fight comes, and the tension was in the air. We established the rules, no water between the scratches, that was new to me, but I agreed. We weighed the dogs and we were, with 19.5 kilos, half a kilo above the contracted weight. And they were 19.5 kilos too. They finished weighing, and they were underweight. So, I just said, let's go. They washed themselves first. Richard already knows what's going on, and he starts whining, and climbing on me, while we walk, to the ring. We entered the ring, and walked to the middle, this to leave Richard, to see the champion Ghost. He starts to vibrate, in my hands. We walk backwards, and my boy is as intense as he can, and ready to go to fight. The referee says, release the dogs, and they hit each other, in the middle of the ring. Ghost bit his head immediately. He bit his ears and then bit between his eyes. Now we were seeing why Ghost is a champion. He works well, and everything was in his control. We are leading the fight, but we are not able to hold the Ghost. 15 minutes passed, and Ghost is still very well, he was biting between his eyes, and dodging very well. We were still trying to take the first bite, but we were just being bitten, between the eyes and the forehead area. Richard's first 2 fights lasted only 22 minutes, and he killed them both, he also broke their legs. When we reached the 40-minute mark, my friends and I were looking at each other, and thinking that he had never passed, through this time of struggle. The EC was smiling at me, and telling me, I said we had a medicine for you. We were breathing with great difficulty, but we are very strong. Ghost seems to slow down, Richard picks up his armpit. The bite was deep, when Richard let it slip. The blood was dripping. We are at 45 minutes of combat, and Richard is pushing, and leading Ghost, through the ring, making him fight and try to hold us. We caught him, and put him in the corner, around the 50 minutes of fighting. Richard hits his back knee, biting, filling his whole mouth, and taking him to the corner. The Ghost is constantly slowing down, and bleeding in the front armpit. That bite in the 40th minute was the beginning of the end for Ghost. When Richard let go of Ghost's suffocation, he was useless, just stretched and rigid. He's being crushed by Richard right now. Around 1 and 5 minutes of a fight, I told them to remove their dog. So they said, "We have a hunting dog. Let's take him home, son." Richard is biting deep in his armpit, and starts pulling Ghost to me. I walk backwards, and move away from Richard, talking to him and talking very well. "Let's go home, son. Bring him home, son." And he was just dragging Ghost all over the ring. At 1 hour and 10 minutes of the fight, they asked for a scratch to continue. Once again, I said no, get your dog. And they said no. I kept encouraging Richard, and he keeps wagging his tail, happily digging in his throat, and dragging Ghost. It's been an hour and 15 minutes of fighting, and I told them, if you want to save Ghost, it's better to catch him. Richard is deeply anxious to finish the job. They ask for another scratch, to continue, at the mark of 1 hour and 20 minutes of fighting. I concede and make the handles. The Ghost sits down and stays down, listening to the referee do the count. We hit him hard on the chest. So I took Richard out of the ring. He pisses and pulls me back. To get into the ring, he was looking for more. Incredible times. EC said, "Damn, Matt, I would never have believed that a bite from Richard would be enough. I thought you were deceiving me. Congratulations on a good dog." I was very happy. Richard became a champion in 9 months. It's been a few months. I've been home all day since we got back from the fight. I'm feeling good. I also crossed a few times. Anyway, calls were made and Jay from SCK started things, and we were ready to face the champion Rock, from 2 Sharp Kennel'S. He is a dog, 4 times winner, and who has already won from Hardcore Kennel'S, in a 2-hour battle, and against a son of Nico Jr., in a fight, of more than 2 hours as well. Rock had a fighting style, of spinning in the ring. On this trip we went to the opposite side of the country. In this show, he would also fight Champion Kunta, from Butcher Knife, and Great Champion Wacko, from Super Crackers. Time passed, we got in the car and left. 18 hours later we are in Orlando, Florida, and we meet some friends, 2 hours south. We relaxed, and we were feeling good. The night has arrived. A few hours, before it's time to go, to fight, I'm being rubbed, and massaged. When they rubbed my right ear, I shudder and complain. My owner looks at me, and I heard him say to someone, "Look at this," and he rubs my ear. And I shudder again. I hear some conversations about paying the fight fine. We got in the car, we traveled about an hour. We are the first to go. We entered the ring, and stayed in our corner. The referee gives the signal, release the dogs. We met the dog Rock, very hard in the middle of the ring. I pushed him back. It didn't take long, and Rock's style is definitely appearing. He started spinning and spinning, biting and leaving the bites, at 5 minutes of fighting. We are constantly chasing him. I don't remember who did the turn on Rock, but around 20 minutes, a scratch was made. The dog Rock looks fine. He began to exchange bites, for a time of a minute, and went back to fighting in his style. It was hard to get good bites, and in the meantime, they are spinning and spinning, looking like a spinning top. We arrived at Rock, in some good moments, and at the 30-minute mark. We heard people saying, "I thought Richard was a murderer." We were busy chasing this dog. Now we have 45 minutes of fighting, and we did 3 scratches, all very strong, and the battle continues. With an hour of struggle, Rock slowed down and we are biting him, the way we want, and starting to do, what I do best, work hard the bite, on his chest. We are strong, and we still have a lot of breath. We do one more scratch. With an hour and 10 minutes of combat I attacked Rock, without him noticing, I didn't even know what was going on. Now it's Rock's turn at scratch, and he listens to the referee's count, in an hour and 20 minutes of combat. We got Richard. He walked, peed and wanted to go back to the ring. Rock is trying to be saved. They put it in the serum. 20 minutes later he dies. And Richard proved once again that he is a murderer. Shortly after, Champion Kunta defeated the great Champion Wacko, in a very convincing battle. Champion Richard is now a dog, 4-time combat winner, of the goddamn Kennel'S, and is awarded Gameness in show. Now our Richard is open to anyone who has a champion, and who wants to come to Texas. We traveled for all the fights and won. So far we have won, in 4 states, and we have already traveled, about 9,000 miles in total. Well, no one wants to accept the challenge. We called several champions, some refused immediately, right when we called. I offered to travel to the top competition, but I had no opponent. We tried to get to the CML, countless times, it was always a no as an answer. A lot of time has passed. I've crossed a few more times, I have some combat winning children. Now we are in the year 2004. It's been almost a year, and we still have no opponent. One day, I received a phone call from Ohio, informing that the legendary Ray, from BBZ, was talking shit, that Richard was no good, and that he could kill him with his dog, the dog Mojo. He had lost the hunt, in a fight of more than an hour. I stayed in the chain, ruining everything for a month, so we received the same call. This time I called Ray, he said he could hit Richard with the dog Mojo. I told him, since if he is so confident, why didn't we find out, since he thought he was the best dog man that existed. He kept quiet and said, "Okay. 45 days. I said, "You're the one who knows, I'll do this fight whenever and wherever I want." That's how the 45 days went by. And I was crossed 2 more times during that period. The day comes and we arrive at the place. They were removing the treadmill, and the little house of the dog Mojo, from inside the ring. It was inside that Mojo lived, ate and worked. We asked to weigh the dogs, but Ray said, "It doesn't matter. I brought Mojo, you brought Richard." I said, "Okay." We washed and went to the ring. We went in first, letting Richard walk and sniff the area. Mojo is brought and stays in your corner. Mad orders the dogs to be released. We hit the middle of the ring, and the fight started. Mojo wants to change bites, that's to our surprise. The first 5 minutes go back and forth, so we warm up and start beating. We damaged the shoulder at 10 minutes, and at 20 minutes we hit him in the knee. The blood was squirting, from the knee to the other, it looked like a stream. Mojo started looking around. We keep hitting more and more, as the mojo gets weaker and weaker, it starts to rotate. I call it a scratch, and it's granted. At 30 minutes, Mojo is literally trying to jump the ring, but Richard took him by the ribs, and drags him back inside. Finally, I can hit a bite in the 35th minute, and Mojo is trying to get out of the ring. The referee opens the count. We are declared winners. Mojo is suffocated, he's crawling, and he's lying down. He's going to die. A lady starts crying, she asks to save her dog. The legendary BBZ does not know what else to do, so Mad intervenes, and executes the 4 that saves Mojo's life. We have already won 5 fights, and we are great champions, but I still tell people that we are still in the search of that champion, who wants to challenge us, in our backyard. We never received an offer from anyone, with any champion, with the proposal to come visit us. I lived a very good life. My owner loved me and I was part of the family. Richard was great with children and played with puppies. He was an amazing animal, unique in life. If it weren't for Grand Champion Richard, I wouldn't have the family I have today. Thanks to my boy, Grand Champion of goddamn Kennel'S, Richard Ramirez, who gave me some adventures, and especially incredible memories.